Okie dokie. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. I think we are good. It looks like YouTube is starting. Let me see if I can hear myself. Perfect. All right. I think everything is hunky-dory. Let me see if I can go ahead and get the link to the video. Still trying to figure out how to do streaming on YouTube here. Let's see here. My channel. And then that looks good. And let me just announce that I'm live really quickly on my Discord. Live at some Unity game dev. Working with polyperfect. Alright. Excellent. Okie dokie. Oh wait, one more thing. Perfect. All right. So, today, going to be working on a Polylithic era survival game. Right now, it doesn't look Polylithic era because this is just a test scene for one of the packs that I made as part of Polyperfect, who I'm making the game in coordination with. So we're going to be using a number of Polyperfect's packages and such in making this. But at the end of the day, the purpose of the stream is just to have fun and hopefully some funny and cool things happen. We shall see. Let me make sure I dock this so I can see chat and such. All right, perfect. Okie doke. So, let's see here. So I guess I can show the current state of things. At the moment, you control an astronaut that you can point and click and walk around with, and you can go and talk to, or you used to be able to talk to a dude here. Apparently, the talking doesn't want to work anymore, which is fine, I guess. So we'll fix that. But I think what I'm going to focus on today is creating a bunch of NPCs. Right now we have... Okay, that looks really weird. Things are already going off the rails. What is going on here? I'm seeing two of these guys. Let me zoom in. Hop back into perspective mode. Okay, we already have some weird stuff going on. Excellent. Oh, I think I know what happened. All right, so I believe this is caused by there being a duplicate. Yeah, okay. So I accidentally applied the character model to the prefab, which I do not want. So I will nuke that there, and things should be at least a little better. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so where is everything? Oh, we're not out of the scene yet. Okay, there we go. Scenes. Perfect. Okay. I also made a quick editor extension that this is going to be like a isometric or perspective or fixed orthographic perspective game. And normally in Unity, if you just pan, you'll like go through the ground and such. So I made a quick editor extension using Unity's new like editor tools thing here, so I can enable flat camera panning, and this lets me just pan around without going through the ground and such. Very useful. So let's see if the character actually works now. Yes, okay, so now we get the dialogue up here. You have at least 10 water, 38 in fact. So in addition to creating the characters, I think I want to experiment with the dialogue system. Except for I'm getting a bunch of errors. Perfect. This is exactly what I wanted from a stream. Previously used context was not disposed in the proper order. Okay, let's see here. First things though, I want to make sure that I don't actually accidentally show any code from the dialogue system. Dialogue system I'm using, I think, is just called Unity Dialogue System or something like that. Oh, how you doing, HT? All right? Good to see you. So I want to make sure that the only code that I show is my own. So let's see here. Let me just X out the proper ones. Matter of fact, let's just close all tabs. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so the the scripting system that I'm using is, as I said, it's called like Unity Dialogue System or something. It's some third-party system, and it allows for adding in Lua scripts. And right now, I am getting an error that I just accidentally hit clear on because, of course, I did. If I talk to the character and then go away, previously used Lua crafting context is not disposed. So in order to make sure that we don't end up with any weird bugs like happened in Pokemon Shining Diamond and Pearl or whatever it is, where you can just walk into the final fight and interrupt the dialogue and walk into the Hall of Fame, because why not? I created a bit of a safety system, not too unlike the job system, but it uses a kind of a safety monitor thing. And right now, that is not getting disposed properly. So I'm going to look into why that is. So in order to have that safety work, essentially I create a Lua crafting context. Lua crafting context. Okay, so when I create this, it adds a context to the stack, and then when I dispose it, it removes it from the stack. So if another type of thing tries to be added on top without this having been disposed, it detects that and sends an error. So let's see here. What would cause that? So recently I changed the way that the dialogue works. So as part of the crafting system, I created a it's like a basic interactable system. So if I hop into play mode here and click on like this 3D printer here, you see it pops up with this. I'm using that same system to start the dialogue. If I go to the character here, you see there's an oh, here we go. Here's the issue. So there's two interactive objects. Just like there was a duplicate character, there was a duplicate interactive object. So it was activating both of them at once. So I'm going to delete that, and thankfully that error that I had that popped up in the console actually caught that. That actually would have caused a lot of frustrations later on if it hadn't told me about that. So I'm already glad that I created that safety system. Oh, nope, there's still an error. Wonderful. So the Lua scripting, yes, I am planning on using. And in fact, it already is being used. If I hop into play mode here and talk to the character, you'll see, hello, you have at least 10 water, 38 in fact. And you can see in the item bar here, I have 38 water. If I toss out my water and then go and talk to him, hello, you had less than 10 water. But if I go and pick up the water, picking up is not working. Why is everything breaking? Oh my god. But you get the idea. The dialogue system is using Lua to hook into the inventory system. And the way that I ensure that happens is with this safety thing I was just describing here, where it has, I have Lua crafting extensions and then push the context. The context creates a reference, or contains a reference to the player's inventory, and then it can access the player's inventory to see what items they have and such. And then later on, I'll be extending that so that the player can like drag items into the NPC slot so they can say, oh, I want, you know, I want a tool that I can mine with or something, and then we can give them that tool or stuff like that. So let's see here. But first, let's fix all the errors. So we have previously used this, and this happens if I talk and then try to leave. I believe this is being caused by the automatic registering that I described earlier. And this is in inventory receiver, I think. Inventory interaction receiver. And then on to end interact, I dispose the Lua context. Maybe if I just move this up above the stop conversation, does that do it? I do believe that might be all that is necessary. Go and talk. No? Okay, so let's see here. Let's analyze what is happening. So if I click on this, I should get a stack trace, and then we can hop over here. So execute events, event system update. Did I delete it in play mode or something? No, I didn't. Okay. So base interactable. So there's no methods in there. Player commander. That seems all hunky dory. Okay. So it's being caused by the event trigger. Event trigger is a built-in Unity component. And then the commandable player tries to stop interacting. And then it handles end interact. It invokes that Unity event. And then that end interact should call the dispose context. Yeah, Lua context.dispose. So is it in the dispose that it's bugging out? No, it's in pop context that it bugs out. Okay, so context.pop. Okay, so the pop thing is not equal to the let's see here. Let me check how many times this is called. I have a feeling it might be being called twice. In pop. And also I'll zoom in on the code so you guys can see it a bit better. Okay, keeping an eye on here. Okay, no, there's only one in pop. What happens if I just don't call dispose? Well, hold on. So that's the hotkey, right? If I just return here, does that make the error stop? Okay, this is also an interesting thing. Another conversation is already active. That's rather odd. Okay, so yeah, having the dispose thing not fire makes everything work properly. But why though? I don't understand already. If dispose is not being called, then this should start throwing errors everywhere. But it's not. Curious. Okay, so let's see here. I've got this pop context. So pop is not being called at all because dispose is earlying out. Oh, if I went above max amount, I think then it would cause errors. So I'll set max amount to 2. And the reason I have these in a stack is just in case there are nested conversations and such. If it was just a singleton, then you could have one dialogue completely override another, which would lead to the effect like you see in the most recent Pokemon game where you use the repel end text to interrupt the champion's text and just walk out of the room. So if I talk and then talk again. Okay, yeah. Okay, so now it's giving me the error as expected anyways. So what I want to do is remove this return. So for some reason, the pop context is causing a error to be thrown, or the popped item is not the same as what is expected. So we are asserting that the expected one is the same as the other one. Let me add a bit more debug information here. We'll say stack after pop has context.count. And I can also demo the Lua script stuff later. Non-static method invocation requires a target. What are you going on about? Okay, I have no idea what that's going on about. Should be fine though. Okay. Okay, so it looks like too many things are being added to the stack. So on 2 occasions, we're having a dialogue bit added. So let me just say debug.log in push, and this has already been done. So if I'm correct in what's causing this error, we should see 2 in pushes pop up, and that would also be what is causing the dialogue system conversation is already active thing. Let's see. Yes, we have 2. All right. And that might be why I didn't see multiple earlier, because I had collapse enabled. Oh my god, I might need a bodied by collapsed count. That's happened to me too often lately. All right, so we know the actual cause of the issue now. The dialogue is being triggered multiple times. So why is that? Let's see. Okay, interactive object. Player commander, base interactable. We have a inventory interaction receiver that registers on the child. What happens if I disable the inventory interaction receiver? Oh, wait, I think I might know what's happening. I think there are multiple colliders, and it's hitting both of the colliders and activating it multiple times. So let's see here. If I disable the collider, no. Hold on. What if I tap the edge? No, it's still borked somehow. Also, wait a minute. Is this lost? Hold on. We have I think there's some shenanigans regarding domain reload list play mode. How you doing, Amber? Does YouTube have all quality settings available for any stream? I would wager yes. I'm not sure. How is the quality, by the way? Last time I streamed, it looked a bit crap after I dropped it to 3,000 kilobits per second. I haven't checked if I dropped any frames, actually. 1 second. Okay, I've dropped 9 frames, so we should be good. Okay, so let's see if we still get the error after domain reload. Naked HD XYZ. Very cool. How to put user in timeout? Did that work, or? Cool. All right, I learned how to temp ban people. Excellent. I think that worked first try. Unfortunately, the spammer won. I lost my concentration and missed missed what I was trying to do. Okay, so if I click once and talk to him, okay, it still pushes twice. What happens if I? Well, I guess I can just trace these. They're both being called from the exact same line of code. Commandable player. Direct target begin interact. Debug.log interacting. We're we're coming across the proper way of debugging with debug.log. Uh-oh, that's unfortunate. Rip. Okay, only one interact, but push is being called twice still. This is not what I wanted to start off doing, but better to take care of these items immediately. Okay, I suspect that it's just being registered twice. And it is. Unity Y. Okay, so the issue. Let me drag this out real quick. We'll delete the NPC and add the NPC back in. So that was how long that we wasted on Unity's shenanigans. Okay, we want that at 0. So what happened was I had applied the prefab changes, and I think Unity crashed. So I've had this thing where when I put my computer to sleep with HDRP, when it restarts, like my screens will be blinking black, and then they'll come back on, and it'll blink black, and then when I finally log on, it'll say too much load was dispatched to the GPU or whatever. So I guess it saved my prefab thing, but I never saved the scene. So what ended up happening is it had the scene had it noted that I had added these various components to the object in the scene, but then it also had them added from the prefab that got saved. So not only was the character model duplicated, which we saw at the start of the stream, but all of the components that were added were also duplicated. And that's what caused all of the shenanigans that we've seen so far today. Wonderful. So presumably, if I go into play mode now, everything will just work. Where'd you go? Oh, he's floating up in the air, but I couldn't tell because because my field of view is rather low. Let's increase that a bit so that we can actually tell when that happens. Okay, there we go. Now he's at ground level. Where's my move tool? Okay. No. Why is my move tool not? Unity is already doing some peak performance today. Okay, we'll call that placement good, I guess. All right, so now if I hit play, okay, in push once, yeah, less than 10 water, in pop. All right, so now there's no errors. So none of that was by fault. It was just the duplication shenanigans. Now we can actually get to the fun stuff. Let me just quickly use Colab and revert the scripts that I changed in trying to find that. Okay, I think that's good. Discard toggled changes. Okay, we should be good. What a monumental waste of time. Yeah, I don't know. The move tool just decided to not. Like, it's not there. And I've had this problem a few times before as well. I don't know if it's because, maybe it's because of the dialogue system thing on there. It's overriding it or something. I don't know. Let's test it out. So if I create let's duplicate the NPC. And I went to move them, but again, the move tool isn't there. Okay. Let's remove the components one by one. Can't remove it because that depends on it. Remove component, remove component, remove component, remove component. Dialog AI depends on it. Remove, remove. Oh, is it just forever gone? It's the character controller? Really, Unity? So adding a character controller kills the move tool. Very cool. Excellent. Ichijo I haven't looked at myself. Okay, now let's actually get to some stuff that matters. So, instead of just having this single NPC wandering around, I want to be able to have any of the NPCs or any NPC that I specify be created in its place. So you'll notice that I have this rig as a child of the NPC, and the NPC game object itself doesn't actually have like a model associated with it. The scripts that interact with the animator look for an animator in the children instead of on the object itself, and that is so that we can create multiple characters without having to worry about having to hook up all the components individually for all of them. So I want a script that will, I don't know, spawn a random NPC. Let's go ahead and create that. So I'll hop over here and let me make sure I stick these in the right files. We want code, and then I guess I'll just open up this one. Let's say public class NPC spawner. This is just a temp name. I'm going to make it more versatile later on, but I want to just make sure that the base functionality is in place. And this will be a mono behavior, or maybe I should make it a polymono. So the polyperfect scripts have a like a custom editor on them, and they have a usage thing, so I can make comments on how it's supposed to be used. Should spawn character, random characters by inserting them into the specified object. And then we'll stick that in a new file. And then I guess I'll zoom in so you guys can see. Does that size look good to you guys? So we'll have void start. And then I need a couple of things first. We need an array of all of the possible prefabs to spawn. So public game object. Really, I don't have Unity engine imported. Okay. Spawnable. And then a public game object. We'll call this prototype. So it'll create a prototype and then parent one of the spawnables to the prototype. Okay. So we'll have a public void spawn and then take in a vector3 position. Later we can take in a rotation as well. And this will have a random int var index equals random.range. This is from 0 to spawnable length. And then we instantiate prototype var proto equals instantiate prototype at position. We'll just have a quaternion.identity for now. And then oh yeah, Rider is excellent. Like, I'm never going back. And then create a one of the spawnables. So we're going to say instantiate spawnable index and give it the parent proto.transform. And that should be all that we need to do. I guess I don't need the start method, but just to start off, we can say spawn at transform.position for testing purposes. So we should now have a random NPC spawner. Before I used Visual Studio 2020 or something. I don't think I used VS Code. Oh, my neck. I used to be pretty into slice of life, and then I got seduced by Isekai. Mono developed Still King, dude. Also, what do you guys think the delay is if somebody can say something and then I'll respond immediately on seeing it? Because I set it to low latency this time. Let's create a spawner. And take in the NPC prefab. Say something. So how was that? If it's too long, then I might be able to bump it over to ultra low latency, and we can see how that works. Yeah, the mono-developed crashes were exactly what I was thinking of too. 10 seconds at the least. All right, let's see here. Can I stream settings? No, I can't change it while it's running. So next time I will try ultra low latency. I've been a bit spoiled by Twitch's delay, so. All right, so we should now have a spawner. God, I can't believe we wasted like 20 minutes at the start just because of Unity's shenanigans. Okay, so ideally, let's see here. So I have the polyperfect like animated characters pack in here somewhere. Low poly animated people. There we go. And there should be prefabs that I can use. Okay, it looks like they all have the Wander script on them. I want the ones without the Wander script. Or I could just go through and nuke the Wander script off of all of them. Can I do that? If I do like this. Okay. I know that in new Unity versions, the search is supposed to be really powerful. So there's probably a way of searching for all things that have the Wander script on them. Okay, this should be fine. I will remove the Wander script here. So the Wander script is something that was added in some of the polyperfect packs. So it has like it's an easy to use. Oh my god, they're back. Incredible. It's weird. It actually takes some time for YouTube to actually like ban the person after I hit the ban button. It's weird. Unity at its finest. Yep. So the Wander script is something that was put in place to make simple ecosystems really easy, but we have a bit of a more robust system that uses fuzzy logic to determine the character's actions, and that's what the NPC dialogue script is using, for example, that makes them stop and turn towards the player and such. So we'll be using that instead of the Wander script. So I just removed that, and now I should be able to drag all of those into, if I lock this, the to spawn area here. And with any luck, hello? Why is this spawnable thing not working? Okay, here we go. We have 101 possible things that it could spawn. That's not meaning it's actually 101. Perfect. So let's see if a random NPC is created. Sure enough, we get the dude here. He's crouching for some reason. So the reason why he's crouching is because he has his own animator. Was he just moonwalking? Did I see that right? Oh wait, I know what's happening. So the action hero right now, another consequence of this time fixing the Unity thing is he has some rotation on him, or should have some rotation on him, but he doesn't. Oh wait, no, the inspector's still locked. Okay, there's the there's the rotation that I'm looking for. Can zero that. Now he won't moonwalk anymore. At this scale, I look like Freddie Mercury. What? HC Orion's. I don't know about that. Of course, the only real like image that I get of Freddie Mercury is the meme, where he raises his arm. Okay, we have an invisible thing that we can talk to. Excellent. Okay, we have an invisible talkable thing. That's fine. Let's see what that is. Okay, NPC. Is it just being spawned with an offset? That looks like the case. Oh, does the prefab have a character controller on it? Okay, maybe I shouldn't just go the route of removing the Wander script because they also have other scripts on them. Instead, I should use the raw models. The reason why I wanted to avoid that is because some of them don't have the materials assigned to them. However, I should be able to take care of that with an editor script. Of course, I don't want to go through and manually assign them on 101 manually, so I think I'll just write a quick script to do that. But yeah, if I remove the character controller and nav mesh agent off of here, we should see. Yeah, that's expected. So it might not look expected, but he should swing around and walk in the opposite direction. Show me the swing. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the swing is the expected behavior. So let me actually undo all of my changes to these things real quick. God bless Unity Collab. Except for the collab thing doesn't appear anymore. If I go over here, see a bunch of prefabs. Okay, this should be fine. Also in the current Unity version, the collab window is bugged. So it like doesn't show all the checkboxes that it should, for example. Oh, and I can't even shift select. Oh god. Classic Unity. The rough models are in the rigs folder. All right. Models. Okay, so we have meshes and rigs. We'll see this. Okay, so the one in the rigs folder does not have the material applied, it seems. And in the meshes also does not have the material applied. So what I would want to do is, how's the best way of handling this? So if I were to look at this, yeah, there isn't a subfolder for prefabs. So in the future, for future releases, we might want to make sure that the models thing here, or the rig section at least, has the materials applied. So if I drag it into the scene and focus in on it here, it has the default lit material applied instead of the normal one that is applied to like this character, for example, which I applied manually and is the low poly colors material. So I can just write a script that goes through and do this. What do you guys think? Should I do a quick editor script coding session, or should we just deal with white characters for now? Let's see here. Okay. I really wish that collab was working properly, though. I definitely don't want to go through and check each of these individually. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh, I know what I can do. I can publish the current changes and then revert all the remaining ones. Hooray for basic logic. We will save the scene and save the project. Okay, just to make sure, I'm going to close collab and reopen it. Why is the collab window gone? Or like the collab button is gone. Unity, why? Well, this is what we get for updating to Unity 2021. Should be fine though. Script, white characters, all right. It's a 1-to-1 vote. Tiebreaker. Rendering. Not rendering. Why am I looking in rendering? I'm looking for collaborate. There we go. Alley-oop. Dock it over here. Okay, so. Yeah, shift selection just straight doesn't work in the current collaborate version. Okay, so we will grab these and publish those changes. PC spawner script, and then there should be only prefab changes remaining. Publish. White characters are fine. All right, Linux, you've been voted off the island. We'll stick with the white characters for now, and then maybe later today or on the next stream we'll add the script if necessary. So let's see here. I do want to use these rig models though. Let me just revert these prefabs really quickly. All I see are .prefab extensions, so I should be good to all, and then discard toggled changes. Except for there's 102 selected. There should be 101. Okay, it was editor settings that was also selected. All right, discard changes to 101 files. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. It's time for some coffee. As they say, programming is the process of converting caffeine into code. All right. Okay, Collab's now throwing an error in the console. That's fine. All right, so well, maybe I will need to make an editor extension here. So what I need to do is make it so that okay, I can make an editor extension, or I could have it be done with the prefab spawning script, or the NPC spawning script that I just created. For now, I will just stick with the, I will use the prefab spawning script. Wait, this doesn't have a, an animator attached. What happens if I grab all of you guys and give you... They don't all have humanoid rigs. That's curious. They have humanoid rig selected, but do not have an animator attached by default. I don't know if I've seen that before. Okay, it should be fine though if I procedurally add it. So we will add a few things to the NPC spawner. Need to make sure I don't waste too much time. So we'll have a public avatar, and this avatar is going to be what's assigned to all of the things that are created. We'll say character avatar. Later on, these can be added to each individual prefab that will be started, but for right now, I just want maximum throughput for maximum awesomeness. And we'll say, I think that's actually all I need. And I guess this should not be public. Well, these should all be serialized field. Speaking of serialized, what's your guys' favorite cereal? Fruit Loops are mine. And we need one more. That is going to be a reference to the animator controller. And then after creating the character, we see very smooth transition. Granola guy. I haven't had granola cereal in a long time. Add component. Animator. Var animator equals that. And then animator dot avatar equals avatar. We will rename this to avatar. And then animator dot controller runtime animator controller equals controller. Okay, so now after I set those, yeah, Raisin Bran used to be one of my favorites. But I would always put in extra raisins. Like I'd get their boxes. They're like red boxes, and then they have like the yellow sun on them. I forget the brand name. God, it's been like 15 years probably. So let me delete these test characters real quick. Unrig. Okay. And then we have the spawner here. Spawner is going to instead take these objects, the rigs. I need to lock the inspector first. So for now, they're all going to use the same animator and such. And then the avatar is going to be main rig avatar, and then NPC, or is it just character animator? All right. So now we should have animating characters that can walk around after being spawned in, hopefully. Save. And then later on, we could also associate more data with them, like names and such. Okay, there we go. We now have a character that walks around. Unless I'm mistaken, that's the Viking? No, maybe something else. Yeah, woman Viking. Nice. So she walks around and we can talk to her. And we get the dialogue up here. So that all seems good. And then we can create some other system. So right now it's just spawning a character at the start for giggles. Sunmaid, that's it, I think. But we can have anything spawn it. So we could say have a menu that we can use to create characters and then have it create it from there. So I guess we can create some UI for debugging purposes. So I will add that in now. Is Sunmaid not still around then? Because they were like the big brand for raisins back in the day, at least. All right, so let's create some UI. At the moment, there are several UIs in the scene, rather. Let's see here. Right now they're all invisible. I can create a separate one though for debugging purposes. So let's create that. Debug UI, and then unlock this and go into normal mode. And create a canvas. I guess I should make the canvas to start off. It is still around, excellent. You got Wine working on Mac OS Monterey. Is Monterey the new Mac version? Or spawner canvas. Oh, I didn't mean to make it a child of the spawner. Let's collapse all these and stick it there. Call this debug UI. And add some buttons for giggles. Right, spawner I'll keep separate for now. We can parent them under something later if necessary, but for now, just a simple button for creating a character on demand should do nicely. So we can make sure that it spawns them in nice and efficiently. And it sucks. What's so sucky about it? And where does that name come from? Monterey? Is that like named after a city or an animal or what? Okay, what is going on here? You guys see this, right? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on there. That this is fine though. Why is it just sticking there on the screen? Is this part of the new UI enhancements, as they say? Whatever. Okay, so on click, let's have it go to the spawner. And did I not make it public? Wait a minute. Surely you can spawn stuff when can you really not use vector 3s from Unity events? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Okay, and we will remove the start function here. Excuse me. All right, NPC spawner spawn. Okay, yeah, you can't use vector 3s from Unity events directly. What in the world? Unity events are so funny to me. They're so incredibly powerful, and yet they have the weirdest limitations. Monterey is apparently both a cliff bay and a city. Huh. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen this with Unity UI. I have no idea what the cause could be. But of course, you know, we get all the cool stuff once I start streaming. No, but a custom vector 3 class wouldn't work either, I guess. Or maybe it would. I don't know. I don't know if blittable data types, custom blittable data types can be used in Unity events. I'm not actually sure of the constraints surrounding that. That might be something I'll look into at some point. But before I forget, let me stick back on the domain reload list play mode. I'm looking for editor. Nope, wrong thing. There we go. All right, instant enter play mode, perfect. And then if I spawn character, there we go. Uh-oh, we have a few of them T-posing, that's fine. Who's T-posing? Ooh, bright light, bright light. Okay. Okay, that's the metalhead. And is he T-posing because... Hold on, there's a few errors. Check here. Object reference not set to instance of an object. All right. Animator.avatar. Why is that? No, wait, does the metalhead already have a... Here, we're looking for man metalhead rig. If I drag him into the scene, he already has an animator attached. So some of them have animators and some of them don't. Okay, well that's something we should correct in the next next release version, I guess. Very interesting. Is it because... Nope, I've got no idea why that would be. Custom property jars and Unity events, please. Yes, exactly. I actually had a similar thing I did for... so this item world thing here is part of the polyperfect crafting system. And if I open up the item to edit here, you see there's like a field that you can edit here. This is like a custom property jar that's being used for this particular item. And if I were to add in like a stack size or whatever, you can see that it's an int editor here as well. Or at least it's custom handling for the property drawer. I can't remember. I went through a lot of iterations in order to get the most versatile thing, so I can't remember what the current handling of it actually is. Okay, so instead of just add component, I want a add get or add. I think I have that as an extension method. Add or get component, yeah, in polyperfect.war. That should be moved to the common thing. Oh wait, it isn't common. Okay, there's just an additional one in polyperfect.war. When Unity dots is finished. Ay. It's so crazy to me how long dots has been in development, and like I understand why they went silent now, because they didn't want to continue stringing people along like as they were. Like I think it was back in Unite Austin 2017 that they first announced dots related stuff. And ever since then it's been, look at how amazing all this stuff is, and then it's just not quite near, you know, usable levels. But I wonder how much of that is them not wanting to release something that's harder to code in than mono behaviors, because at the current state of things, like UI and stuff doesn't really work with dots. You know, it's much more suited to an event-based or, you know, otherwise object-oriented system, whereas dots is completely the other direction. So I imagine one of the big things they're looking into is how to get those to play nicely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2017 when dots was first talked about. Okay, so we add or get component animator and then set the stuff afterwards. So now I should be able to spawn all of the characters and not have them T-pose at all. Perfect. Look at that. We're getting a solid 250 FPS. And then I guess just as a quick fix it all, because why not? We already have a number of bandage fixes. We'll add in another serialized field, material, apply material, and then character.getComponent in children, renderer shared material equals apply material, and we should have nice colored characters. So one thing that you can't quite see yet with the characters is that they all have, right now they're using an AI-based wander script, but it's not just only wandering that they can do. That hooks into a fuzzy state machine, or not a fuzzy state machine, but it's a fuzzy logic machine. And the dialogue for them turning to look at the player also functions in that, so that it overrides the wandering because it has a higher weight. It's like, oh, I'm being talked to, then I should probably look at the person who's talking to me. But if there was a big enemy, that might take even higher priority than the talking. So they might talk and run away at the same time, for example. And I think that's why the fuzzy logic is particularly powerful. So perhaps today we'll see some usages of that. Maybe I will have them looking for particular resources. And as a matter of fact, maybe that's what we'll do next. We'll have it so that they can detect resources in range and try and go and get them, for example. That seems like a cool next step. But if I hop over to the spawner here and set the material to low poly colors and spawn, perfect, excellent. Beautiful. Just admire their gloriousness. So I made maybe a little under a quarter of these characters. Let's see here, like this Eskimo I made, I believe. This female woodworker I'm particularly proud of. I really like how she looked, how she turned out. Let me move her out here. Or I would move her if the freaking move tool worked. Unity, why? All right. So now we have a bunch of characters that we can spawn in and have do stuff. So let's give them some stuff to do. So I think I want to give them various bars like hunger and thirst and such like that. And I had started off with that when I first started this project, but I never did anything with it. There should be a few code files related to that are just like empty. Yeah, float data here. So I think what I'm going to do is have like a float data for 1, and this could represent hunger. And then when it's at 1, that means they're fully hungry, and then 0 is not hungry at all. But I'm not sure whether I want to stick with a float value or go to an int value. The int value, I think, might be... it'd definitely be easier for the player to understand, although we would have to make things like hunger activate on ticks instead. So we could have a global tick like in Minecraft, and every like 10 frames or so it decrements their hunger by a certain amount or something like that. Whereas with float, we can just go ahead and do it every frame. So I'm not quite sure how I want to handle that. Give me a minute to think. All right, I think I'm going to stick with floating points for now. And then if necessary later, I can swap them over. I'll definitely be careful in the future to make sure that if I do need to swap over, I don't need to do a large amount of, reworking the existing data or such. So for now, I think I should be able to create using the menu here. Well, let's create a new folder. We can call this data, and then create float data hunger. And then the advantage of having this as a scriptable object is I can drag and drop it into other like fields and such, and have a reference to the asset so that I don't need to use like a string reference. I get a little triggered by people using strings for everything, so it's like, oh yeah, look for the hunger thing. Just because that's so easy to break and have, merge conflicts and stuff. So in addition to hunger, we can have a thirst. And then I duplicate that again, happiness. And then I'm going to create some AI that will link into these. So, for example, the higher their hunger gets, the more likely they are to seek out a food source, for example. Yeah, one thing, and that's another thing I really like about Rider is it. Even though I don't use it, I might be more apt to use strings because it will actually like find references by strings. Like traditionally in Unity, if you're using coroutines and such, you'll use a string reference to it, or traditionally, if you're starting out with Unity scripting, at least. Uh, and Rider will actually tell you, "Hey, you spelled this wrong," or "There's no method matching this," or it'll let you click on it and hop to the method and such. It's very nice. But it does also kind of encourage bad practices in doing so. But I have not watched Squid Game myself. I've heard that it's a thing. That's about the extent of it. But whenever I hear Squid Game, I think of Splatoon. Okay, so we have our float data and the various things here. Now we need some AI that actually hooks into them. So let's create a hunger AI. So public class. Okay, so in the Poly War Pack, we had this fuzzy logic system. And in it, there's a system for detecting resources and such. But it's been a long time since I worked on it, so I can't remember quite how it works. I believe there's a thing that should let me easily find the stuff, though. Something targetable, something in range. But for now, we'll just call this food seek, or resource seek. If I can spell seek. And then this is, let's see what types of AI. Patrol AI, reload AI, ammo seek. Let's see what the ammo seek works like. Secret base AI. Okay. Supported ammo pack tracker, ammo box pickup. Okay. It's starting to come back to me. Seeker base AI. And then we have several generic parameters here. We need a tracker to find it. So let's create the tracker as well. Public class resource tracker. Let's see how this works. I can't remember. Okay, tracker, and then it will look for all objects of that particular thing. Okay, we need it to find something that inherits from targetable base. Got it. Resource tracker. We have What was the ammo one again? Ammo target. What was it called? Ammo seek AI looks for ammo box pickups, or no, supported ammo tracker, which looks for ammo box pickups. Okay, so we want a resource pickup or something. Yeah, okay. So we will have a resource pickup tracker, and then that will be its own class as well. Public class resource pickup. Or this is going to be tracker for resource underscore pickup. And then this is going to be trackable or targetable base. Yeah. Okay, and then it's going to be resources that the AI can search for. And then no special stuff needed for initialization. Stick that in its own file. And then we have the resource tracker. Should track, and we'll just return true for that. And stick it in its own file. Usage looks for collectible resources. Okay, so the way this is going to work is you can tag an object with the resource pickup script here, and then anything that has a resource tracker script on it will take those into account. And then we can have the AI script that links into the fuzzy logic machine check to see where the nearest resource pickup of that type is, for example. So we can say, all right, I'm low on food. Let me see where the nearest food source is. If it's far away, maybe I don't want to go too far for it. But if I'm really hungry, then I'll go even further for it. But if I'm not so hungry, I'll ignore it. Unless it's right by me, then I'll just pick it up because it's nearby and get complex behaviors like that. So I think that's how this should all work. Hold on. What are you yelling at me for? Typo? I don't know. That seemed pretty good to me. We'll add to the user dictionary. Okay, so resource seek AI, and that's going to take a, what is it? A resource tracker, and then a resource pickup. Is that how that works? And then the fuzzy layer it's going to be in is movement. And usage seeks after, string seeks after resources that are necessary. And I want to use this same script for all the different types of resources that we could need. So this will, it could look for water sources, it could look for food sources, whatever we want. So I want some kind of generic function that we can use in here. So as I described earlier, we need distance. So the closer it is, the higher the weight is, as well as the lower the current stat is on the character, the higher the weight is. So let's see here. Resource seek AI. But I believe the seeker base AI already takes that into account. Goodness. Let's see here. Active update. We have a search radius, speed multiplier, minimum by distance. Okay, so this actually has like all of the stuff that I need already in place. God, I made such a good system. Okay. All right, so but I do need, there's no way it works this easily. There's absolutely no way. Okay, there is at least one thing that's missing from it. It needs to know the value of the resource that it is looking for. Do I have an override that I can do somehow? So I can override the calculate weight. I don't know if I can do it on a individual thing though. All right, well, let's see what happens, and then I'll see where the most likely place for what is missing is. So let's create a just an empty game object, I guess. And this is just going to be a resource pickup. And it's going to satiate the hunger. I should probably add in an additional abstraction for the object there, because I don't want to say that this is a hunger reliever, you know. Instead, I want to say that this is food, because it could be that different things eat different types of food. Like there could be omnivores or carnivores and such. Yeah, when you over-engineer just enough so it works perfectly. Feels amazing, man. So this would be a resource pickup. And I'm going to need to stick some other thing on here that will say, so the resource pickup is going to have a resource type. The resource type, I should make a new scriptable object thing. So let's add that now. We'll say public class resource location. Or I guess I already have this as part of the crafting system. Gather interactables. Let me see what options I have available on that. So yeah, I think I can actually just hook right into the crafting system from this. So if I say gather interactable, and we have a transfer over time. So let's say this has like food in it. If I add in a item, dude, this guy doesn't give up. All right. Let's see here. How do I remove? No. How do I actually like send him to the Shadow Realm? Report promotes terrorism. Hide user on this. This user's messages will be hidden. Is hiding them enough to keep them from talking? All right. If anybody sees spam that I don't see, then let me know, because I don't want somebody being able to spam without me seeing it. Okie doke. So we have this gather interactable, and then this will have an item slot in it. And then this item slot, we can stick some item in. For giggles, let's just give it salt. They're very salty people, and they want a lot of salt. Salt is our edible for now. And then, so the NPCs should head for this gather interactable. We will add a reference to the gather interactable on the resource seek AI, or rather on the resource pickup. Do I want it to reference a gather interactable or the item slot component itself? Message retracted. Is that legit? I think that's legit. What an odd way of phrasing that, YouTube. Require component. So, do I need it to be a gatherable interactable? No, I think it should just be the item slot component that it's looking for. Perfect. These things work together excellently. All right. We could say type of item slot. Wait, hold on. No, maybe we do want it to be the gather interactable because we don't want them detecting the food in other people's inventories and trying to go rob them of their food. So we'll say gather interactable. I mean, maybe that could be good for emergent gameplay. Maybe we have people, if they're hungry enough, they'll go and try and start robbing people of their food. That could be interesting for various purposes. But for now, we'll make it so that people are at least somewhat kind-hearted. Okay, so it'll look for anything that has a gather in, or excuse me, this is looking for anything that has a gather inter. No, fool. Okay, so let me close these and make sure that I have all my thoughts in order. If no raw resources, then they start stealing. Yeah, I think I would add that as a separate AI though. And by just having it as a separate one, we could indeed have it be weighted higher. So all of the fuzzy components, as I call them, have an additional weight thing that you can alter on them to either based on their personality or just by game balance. You can adjust how much they prefer certain things. Or if stealing would be very convenient. Or if they need to raise their experience bars, for example. Just steal tea from the same vendor 20 times in order to max out your level. Or excuse me, by 20 I mean 20,000 times. Shoutouts to old school RuneScape. Okay, so we should have a gather interactable on this, and then the resource pickup requires that gather interactable. And then the maybe I don't need the resource pickup thing at all. Instead, it just looks for gather interactables. Yeah, that would remove an unnecessary abstraction. So for now, I will have it search for the gather interactable directly, and we can add in an additional abstraction if necessary later. So let's get rid of the resource pickup. But before I nuke the entire file here, let me just make sure that it all works fine. Gather interactable. Oh wait, the gather interactable has to inherit from... why no multiple inheritance? Okay, we do need the abstraction, unfortunately. Because we need something that inherits from targetable base so that it can automatically register with the target finding system. The target finding system itself is kind of like a mini physics engine. It just detects all of the things that are within range and then sends events like, oh, this item is in range now. So you can detect all of the stuff that's in range without having to iterate through everything that's in the entire scene. Right now it happens on the main thread, but we can definitely Jobify it later. Okay, so should be good now. But I only want it to look for gatherables that are foods. Okay, this is a little annoying. I'm coming across more multiple inheritance that I want to do. So, I want to be able to get access to the item world. The item world is what contains like all of these items, for example. And the easiest way to access that is to inherit from the item user base class. But I'm already inheriting from the from the AI fuzzy logic component, I guess. So let me take a look at how the item user base is structured. It's been a few months. That's the wrong button. Oh. It's trivial. Okay. We'll just copy this single line of code here. What rhythm games have I played? I've played Osu, both Theatrhythm games, and Beat Saber. Oh, and there was one on the Nintendo Wii. Uh, God, that was a great game. Hold on, it was like Bit Trip Beat. I think that was it. I don't know if that would count as a rhythm game, but it had the beat. That was a really good game. I kind of want to go back and play that. I remember playing multiplayer with my friend. You would hold the Wii remote and tilt it forward and backward to move your paddle up and down like in Pong. Uh, Bit Trip Beat. I have to look into that again. I wonder if that like series continued. Okay, so we have a resource seek AI, and the resource seek AI is going to have access to the item world, and we'll say item world, and then that's just a lambda into the item world in the scene. And we need a reference to an item category to look at, so we'll say public, or excuse me, a serialized field category object targeted category. I think I have a base category object. Yeah. Okay, so each of the items in the item world can be associated with categories, and categories can have data. So I can like tag something as edible or meat or, you know, vegetarian or something. So that whatever's using this resource seek AI should be able to grab the little bit of data, should be able to check if the item within the gather interactable is a member of that particular item category. So there should be an override, like should gather, or seeker base AI uses resource tracker. And the resource tracker is what should have the, yeah, here's the should track thing. So this one here is going to be overridden. Instead of just being true, it's going to check the item that it's looking for. Now really quickly, if I hop into seeker base, is this adding tracker type? Okay, yes. So I need to add a field on the tracker type here. So resource tracker, and this is going to have a public void initialize tracked type, and we'll take a base category object, or instead we'll take a runtime ID. I don't want a yeah, runtime ID, ID, and then this is going to grab the item world. I can make the text a bit bigger. Yep. Thanks for letting me know. I keep forgetting. Is there a way to set the default zoom in Rider? View, I don't know. Does anybody know? Because when I hop between the different files, it changes text size. Yeah, there were a bunch of Bit Trip games. So there was Bit Trip Beat. I think there was like Bit Trip Runner. Um, I can't remember the others at the moment. So this should track thing is going to check the item world and see if there is a particular type of data. So what do I have access to in the world? Has, contains, category contains. So we're going to see if the targetable, and we'll need to get the item ID from within the resource pickup. So I'm going to need to add a reference on that to that. But for giggles, for now we'll just make it a public method. Runtime ID contained item. This isn't going to support multiple quite yet. I will add that in later though. And for now, we'll just throw a not implemented exception. Okay, and then hop back to the previous file. I think you just need to set the font size in the settings. Font size. But nothing happened. All right. No? Okay. Well, we'll see if that works. I don't know what the current zoom level is. Okay, initialize track type, and that's going to set a runtime ID, tracked ID, tracked ID equals ID, and then we'll add in a safety here. Bool literal, what the heck? Bool is initialized, and then is initialized equals true, and then assert dot is true is initialized, and then world category contains tracked ID, and then targetable dot contained item, and we return that. So whether the targeting system detects if an item is in range is if the item contained with it matches the category that it should be looking for. Set the size at the top of the appearance window. All right. For now, it seems to... Well, maybe it doesn't work as I thought. So, font size. Top of the appearance window. I'm at the top of the appearance window. Okay, yeah, that's presentation mode, as he said. Oh, here we go. Use custom font size, say 24. Oh no, that's that's the that's not the right font size. Font size. Wow, it's not even letting me click it. I've made a mistake, guys. Hold on. Maybe this is monitor scaling shenanigans. Oh, wait. Here we go. I'm just an idiot. Never mind. Okay, so that changes the menu things. All right. Well, in any case, let's see here. Okay, so we don't have any errors, but it will definitely error out. It's the other font size. Ah, yes. I'm going to take a quick break and use the restroom. I will be back in 2-3 minutes. Okay, I accidentally unplugged some some cords. Hopefully I didn't destroy my audio. 1 second. Okay, I think we're good. Alrighty, so we want the resource-seeking AI to look at the audio stream's current bitrate, 0, is lower than the recommended. uh, okay, if it sounds fine, I guess that's fine. YouTube's yelling at me. Apparently 0 is too little, but should be fine. Okay, so let's see here. So we want it to look at the item slot component. We need to implement that. That's right. We have the not implemented thing. So this is contained item. And then this is going to reach into the attached item slot component. So we will require component type of item slot component. Okay, so in the future, I want this to support multiple items. I'm trying to think of how best I want to structure this. So I don't want this to be responsible for comparing the items that are contained within it to the item world. But I do want it to be able to support multiple items when that happens. When I switch to that anyways. Because for example, let's say there's like an animal carcass or something, and you've got like you can have the fat or the meat or whatever, or different parts of a plant, for example, the leaves and the stem. I want the thing to be able to access both of those, and then if any of them fulfills the requirement, then they can go for it. I don't know the best way of handling that. I can think of several ways, but none of them are clearly the best. And there is a best solution. I have just yet to find it. Let's see. All right, let's step back a bit. The thing that wants to determine if it's the right item is the AI agent. The AI agent should be responsible for discerning if the item is valuable to it or not. In order to discern that, it needs access to the contents of the item. I guess I need to just go from this point and create some type of IEnumerable or such for it to request them from. Yeah, that would probably be the best. So we'll have it just operate on an IEnumerable to begin with. So we'll say IEnumerable runtime ID contained items. At some point, I might want it to check their quantities as well. Or why does YouTube keep saying my audio bitrate is 0? You guys can hear me, right? Can I hear myself? Yeah, I hear myself. Okay. YouTube, stop. So I don't know if just getting the runtime ID is what I want. Maybe I should just get the item stacks instead. IEnumerable item stack contained items. And then from here, for now, I will just have it yield return get component item slot component dot contained. Yeah, and then in the future, instead of this yield return, I can have it access whatever other component I have on there. And then we can do targetable dot contained items dot any, and then say world dot category contains tracked ID. I need to add the lambda. I goes into I dot ID. Return. By the way, how do you specify? Oh, okay, there we go. You can stick an attribute that says pure. Can I do that? So is that specifically a rider thing? Interesting. Useful. Okay, so whether it should be tracked is if the contained items have any of that. Yeah, that seems reasonable. So now I need so pure means that I guess it doesn't alter any state within anything. Instead, it just returns a value. So if I was to say return true here, and then remove the return statement, so it'll say return value of pure method is not used. So it knows that there's something wrong because this isn't doing anything. It's getting a value and then not using that value for anything. Or at least that should be the case, because IEnumerables shouldn't have side effects, depending on how it's implemented, of course. Of course, you could make it so it has side effects. Yeah, Rider has a lot of neat tags that you can use on such. So you can specify whether something, can be null, like so. And then if you specify that, then it'll underline if there's a possible null reference exception. And then this actually propagates. Like if you specify that the return value can be null, then anything outside of it that tries to use that will be notified, hey, this might be a null thing. Similarly, if at some point you check to see if it's null, it'll assume that it could possibly be null and then apply that to the rest of the code that uses that particular part. So if I say, well, you get the idea. I think you get the idea without me having to go through and demonstrate it. I'll point it out if it pops up incidentally, though. Yo, Dustin, how's it going? Okay, so we have should track, and that is used by the resource seek AI. And okay, so now we need to add a new category type here. I don't want to edit the demo item world. Instead, I will create, or I'll use the existing item world here that is empty. So let's create a new item. We'll call it hamburger. And then we want a new category as well. So it's just a simple, or I guess we can have it with a float. So this is going to be a edible. And then this edible is going to have hamburger as one of its things, and that's going to refill like 10 hunger or something. Seems reasonable. Why is it not appearing here, though? Is there an error in the console somewhere? No? Okay, there appears to be some error with the categories here. Pardon me 1 second while I do some quick debugging. Let's see here. It's going to be item world window. Items window, looking for the categories. So I recently changed a bit of the way that this thing works behind the scenes. So we get empty if there isn't an active world. Otherwise, wherever search field text.toLower name.toLower contains okay, I'm not sure why that isn't working. I will look at that later. It's not hugely important right now. The important thing is that this is on the NPC here. So this is going to have a resource seek AI, and this is going to look for edible. Yeah, Rider is incredibly powerful. Definitely not going back anytime soon. For the most part, just a lot of the like moving, codes to new files and such. Just that by itself saves so much time, and then it can catch trivial errors pretty frequently as well. Like if you create a variable and then don't use it or whatever, or if its contents are updated but never used, it notifies you for that. So you catch a lot of bugs really early on. I love it. Okay, so it is targeting the edible category. No need to run to it. You can just walk. Half speed, that's fine. Search radius of 20 meters seems legit. And so we should have that resource pickup in the scene. And the salt, we don't want salt, we want hamburger. Okay, so we have 64 hamburgers in this invisible object here. And oh, perspective sucks. Perspective sucks even more. Let's just stick it on his foot. Why is that not working? Okay, that's where I wanted it, I guess. We'll take that. So the idea is going to be that this character heads for this if their hunger value is too high. So how do I check what their hunger value is, or where would I stick that in there? Let me take a look at the ammo seek that I have, because that should have how I'm going to go about it. Ammo seek AI, seeker base AI. So there should be calculate weight dot any. I guess it doesn't take into account what their current ammo is, so that is something new that I will have to add. I will do it in the calculate weight method here. So this is what I'm going to override, is the calculate weight. So resource seek AI, and then we will override here, calculate weight. I need system.link. Just ask them if they are hungry, dude. That might end up being what coding becomes if, if AI continues at its current rate. But we shall see. At the moment, created code from stuff like that is less than optimal. If you hungry, bro? So calculate weight is going to take into account their current float data. So we'll have a serialized field float data, and that is going to be why is thinking of names the hardest part of programming? Relevant stat. And then we should have a, maybe I will make these integers instead of floats. What do you guys think? Should I have like hunger and stuff be whole number values? So it's like this food is worth precisely, 30, and then every certain number of ticks decrease it? Or should I have it as floating point values? I'm kind of leaning towards integer values now. Now, I know the Lua scripting, in Lua, like everything uses a double data type, I believe. So on that end, everything is going to be done with floating points regardless. You know what? Let's just say screw it and have an additional abstraction. Instead of this float data or, int data, let's just have something that I can change at any time. So we're going to name it AI statistic or AI status value. And then this is going to be an int value for now, and then we can change it to float later if necessary. And I think that the JSON serializer will actually smoothly like change from one to the other if it comes to that. Hey, Mighty Master, how's it going? Okay, so then the resource seek AI uses AI status value, relevant status, and then in calculate weight, we do any or instead tracker.min by. Do I not have a min by? I should have min by somewhere. Yeah. Okay, it's in, right now it's in the polyperfect war namespace. I might want to switch that around. So let's see here. So let me actually make a note of that. Notepad, and we'll say put enumerable extensions in common assembly. Okay. Doing pretty good myself. Things are going pretty swimmingly, I would say. Had a rocky start with some Unity crash shenanigans where it duplicated a bunch of data, but aside from that, things have been going pretty nicely, I would say. So we're going to say if any, and then multiply this amount by the, Wait, I used this for the health system in the low poly war pack. Medkit tracker, medkit seek AI, resource seeker base. Okay, yeah. I just reinvented the wheel on a lot of these, but resource seeker base AI, and we should be fine. Actually, hmm. All right, CH here, Ryan. Thanks for stopping by. So I think I want some additional logic. Okay, resource seeker base AI needs to take a thing that implements I fractional amount. So I can add this as a component to the NPC. Yeah, okay. I'm seeing how this can work out. So, I want a public class AI status reference mono behavior, and then this has a serialized field AI stat value and this also implements I fractional amount. We need a serialized field float max value and a serialized field float current value. Actually, this should be public. And then to implement the interface, we simply do current value divided by, just to make sure we don't get any fractional loss, max value okay. Yeah, this is I've been working with polyperfect for a little over a year now. So they're technically a client, but I've been working with them so long that basically part of the team now. And we decided it'd be cool to make a game using the some of the stuff that we've been creating. Both the game could be cool itself and could potentially improve the assets that we're creating. Let's see here. And he said he was fine with me streaming it, so. So AI status reference needs to go in its own file. Or I guess we can just call it status reference, because this can be used for both the player as well as the AI. So what could be a little annoying is I'm going to have to add a separate component for each status that it's going to do. I'm just on YouTube to try it out. YouTube seemed to have more monetization options. Although right now it says monetization is off. I'm not sure why that is, but it's not a huge deal right now. I'm kind of considering going back to Twitch because I don't feel like YouTube has too many options for growing the community too much. Like I never really see too many streams suggested that aren't things that I'm already subscribed to, you know? Whereas on Twitch, you know, there's always, you know, suggested channels or people who watch this also watch that and such. So I'm not quite sure at the moment. For now, I'm sticking with YouTube because it has automatic archival of, you know, past broadcasts. And one thing I've always regretted about the Mario 64 thing was I only saved the first week because I got tired of having to go through and manually archive each of the streams. And I just wish that I had, you know, saved all those because some of those are pretty legendary. But with this, they're automatically archived and we can go back forever and rewatch them if desired. Okay, so we'll put status reference in its own file. So what's going to be annoying about this is I might need to add a separate mono behavior for each instance or each status value on them. And the reason that might be necessary is because, wait a minute, I might have been smarter than that. Okay, fractional type goes from, okay, I was smarter than that, perfect. Okay, so this doesn't need to be a mono behavior. Instead, we're gonna have a single thing, that is status references. And then have a, no, this is going to be status reference, but it's not going to be a mono behavior. Instead, it's just going to be an I fractional amount. And then we'll have a mono behavior that is status references. And this is going to be a mono behavior, and it contains an array of status references contains an array of status references that's going to be private, and then they can be accessed through a dictionary, I think makes the most sense. You watched the SM64 videos last week? Awesome. So let's see here. Serialized field. I guess this needs to be serializable. Serializable. And okay, so serialized field, status, reference, array, stati. Is that a thing? What is the plural of status? And then that's going to be private. And then there's a public read-only dictionary. Or what the hell? Let's just make it a dictionary for now. Public dictionary. Then this is going to take a AI status value, or just a value data. What did I call it? Variable data. It is statuses. All right. Variable data, status reference. Status lookup. Status is equals new that, and we'll make it read only. I need to use shift space more. Like I had messaged writers, developers saying I wanted like more control over being able to move the cursor around due to like some emergent behavior with crazy controls autocomplete that I really liked. Like whenever you would hit space, it would complete what you were doing and then move to the next token. And I really wanted that, and I ended up mapping it to shift space here. It doesn't quite work how I wanted, but then after adding in that function, I just stopped, and instead I just use control right and left arrows to hop around. I need to get in the habit of using shift space. Okay, so status references needs to go in its own file. And then we will move that into that same file. Here. Make sure we have those things imported. And then the resource seek AI wants a status reference. Perfect. Okay. Why is it saying there's an error here? Game? Or editor? Okay, Unity seems to be compiling it fine. Also, does my, like when it's compiling, do I start freezing and such still? Or is that fixed now? I think it's fixed because I switched it. Oh, I switched it to use hardware encoding instead of software encoding. Okay, so ideally I should be able to hop on the, or let me change the datas here. We have data, happiness, hunger, thirst. We'll nuke those. Create AI stats value. Call this hunger. Or I guess I shouldn't call it AI. It's AI status value. Okay, not seeing any freezing. Perfect. So right now, everything's smooth. Is everything smooth? No freezing. Right now it's compiling, and it's done compiling. Looks pretty smooth on my end. Yeah, that looks good. Nice. Okie doke. So, the NPC will have status references. And we will add one for now. That is going to be hunger. Max value is going to be 100. Current value is 50. And okay, instead of hunger, so the fractional amount expects that higher is better, I think. Let me check in that. So maybe I could add in just a bool invert value, or just assume that it's going to be higher is better. So resource seek AI begin seek fraction, max seek fraction. Yeah, it expects that lower means in higher need of. So instead of hunger, let's call it what's the opposite of hunger? Why am I struggling with this? Satiatedness? What am I looking for? Satiatory. We'll go with satiatory. Wait a minute, but the satiatory, it's just a reference to this thing. It doesn't need a value by itself. So this doesn't need to be a God, sometimes I hate object-oriented programming. This doesn't need to be a variable data. This can just be a reference by itself. public class status value scriptable object. Okay, this is going to cause an error somewhere else, I believe. Or it should. Oh, I think it'll make the previous data on the NPC invalid, at least. A situation in which one is full. Fullness? But that can work for other things as well, not just food. Okay. Hold on, if I stick that on none. Yeah, it's still waiting for... I could have sworn that I made a thing that went off of variable data, which should have started erroring out as soon as I tried this. Whatever. I'm certain it'll pop up at some point. Okay, relevant status. Oh, here we go. It popped up immediately. So I want it to take the satiatory here. Wait. I'm just going to stop talking because I'm a freaking moron. Let's... That might be all that I need. I believe I can check on the fuzzy machine here and see the weight of the things. Fuzzy machine. Okay. Do we have an error? We do have an error. Okay. I was going to say, why is that thing not in there? Assert values false. Requested component. Get component fractional type. Wait, why is this being used? Okay, so fraction source is... Wait, how does this even... Oh, wait, okay. Okay, I thought that fractional type was a thing. I really should have it like T fractional type or in all caps. Because this is a generic type. So, fractional type needs to inherit from I fractional amount, and it gets it... Okay, it really is expecting a mono behavior. How can I modify this so that it is a bit more generic? Food or happiness? Happiness, I think I am going to make a like a compound thing. So I'm gonna have fuzzy logic for happiness as well. So happiness, like as long as hunger is above 60, then they don't get any penalties to happiness in that regard. As long as health is above 60, no penalties for that. So it's gonna be based off the other stats, I think, if we do have happiness. Yeah, just calling it food would probably be good. But I kind of like satiatory. So the resource seek AI needs its okay, I can override the initialize phase so that fraction source goes for the other thing. Yeah, okay. So if I hop back to... Come on. We can override initialize. And this is going to... Hold on. Does... Okay, I need to do base.base.initialize. Okay, this might be a little messy. Base.base.initialize. Wait, does that not work? That's a little annoying. Hmm. How do I deal with that then? I've never come across this in C# before. Let's see here. C# access base of base. Of course, it's bad practice. Type of base.get method. Oh my god, I don't want to do. This is bad programming practice, and is not allowed because it's bad programming practice. Okay, so I was saying I wanted to do it even though it would be bad, but they said no, you can't do it because it's bad. So I think that means that I need to edit the other thing to override it. I could make the value virtual. I wonder if you can make like virtual properties. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that I should. So resource seeker base should have fractional source be overridable. So we'll say protected virtual get returns fractional type, fractional source. God, this is kind of ugly by itself. There's got to be a better way of doing this. But whatever. So instead we do override fraction source and point that to. Oh, but it's still gonna. It's still going to trip over the virtual thing. Oh, this is annoying. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a different account or. Now, just to be sure, all of the things on it are deleted, right? Because I believe I don't know. It just said hide user on this channel. I guess that's ban. I'm not sure. I don't know how YouTube quite works yet. I've only been using it for 12 years. Uh. Yeah, I'm stumped on the best way to structure this. So, to be clear, my goal is to leverage the functionality that's in the resource seeker base. I'm doing all of this because I don't want to copy and paste this code, basically. Am I an idiot? I think I'm just an idiot. Let's undo all this stuff here and just freaking copy and paste the relevant section of code. Freaking object-oriented programming, dude. I got caught in abstraction hell. And then just add these. And we have the relevant status and require component status references. Need a type of. Gonna be honest, one of my annoyances with C# is the requirement of this type of here. I feel like it should be implicit. And we'll say override initialize. And we're gonna have a var statuses equals get component status references, then make that a field. And statuses dot status lookup. Can't I access this as a dictionary? It should be able to. Oh, that's where I used variable data. Instead, I want wait, dictionary status reference. Status value. Status reference. God, these are awfully named. Instead of status value, we'll call it status identifier. And then look at the status lookup by relevant status. Dot fractional amount. Okay, there we go. And then in void awake, status lookup dot add for each status is status lookup dot add item dot Oh, I guess I should make this public. I should make it an auto property, but I'm far too lazy. Value, and then this is going to be, what am I looking for? I'm so confused. Oh, just item by itself. Okay, there we go. I definitely think I should change this name though. Okie doke. Use target typed new? What? When was this added? How long have you been able to do this? I was like starting to get really annoyed with having to type out the full thing for dictionaries and stuff. And now you can just do new? Incredible. What technology we have these days. Okay, so hopefully less errors in the console next time we run. So victory condition is going to be that the character walks over to our invisible resource pickup right here. Let's see. Nope. Errors up the wazoo. Value cannot be null. Item dot stuff and things. PC. Looking for satiatory. All right. Still null values. Assertion was false. Okay, this is why I added in that thing so I wouldn't spend years looking for the error here. So the resource tracker is referenced by resource seek AI. And then in initialize, we need to do tracker dot initialize tracked type to targeted category dot ID. Okay, something something not present in the dictionary. Okay, I think I know why this is happening. I should have a reference to an item world here. There's some stuff that excuse me. Right now, all right, item world references. Let me take a look here. Right now, it's just an abstraction for this. I need to change this at some point because I changed the way that things fundamentally work. For now, I'm going to do a quick and dirty workaround. And that will be, instead of hamburger, I'm going to use salt, as we were previously. And the salt is going to be put in the edibles category. Salt, edible, and it restores 10 is fine. Okay, no errors? No errors? We have errors, perfect. Okay, what is not present in the dictionary? We're getting this from... Oh, the category is not present in the item world. Okay, this might be a problem I need to address sooner rather than later. Demo item world. And we'll hop into debug mode and see if I can just drag and drop in the edible category. Perfect. Okay. So that should be good. All right, no errors. And he walked over to this. Is that complete success? Or is that just coincidence? He's staying there. I think that means we should have high weight on the resource seeking AI. So if I hop over to the NPC, And look at the fuzzy machine. Indeed, we have 0.6 weight on resource seek. All right. He was hungry and sought food. Perfect. So if I instead give him a food of 100, he should wander instead. And indeed he does. On the other hand, if I decrease his food value, hold on, I'm gonna wait till he stops, set his current food to 0, and he immediately goes for the food. Excellent! All right. So we now have an AI that will seek after food if they are hungry. Go ahead and save the scene and project. Okay, so we can add other stuff in addition to the satiatory here. We can have quenchery. We're sticking with the funny names, I guess. And what are some other basic needs for survival? I guess sleep or wakefulness. Although you can't collect sleep like a resource. I'm feeling a little tired. Well, maybe you can. Wakefulness. So maybe there's a coffee pickup. Okay, so if I wanted to add another thing to seek after water, for example, all I should need to do is add in another resource seek AI. So resource seek AI. It seems to have gone on just fine. I just want to make sure that there's no errors because there's multiple of the same script on there. So for now, we'll make it seek after edible, but instead we'll go after quenchery. And if I hit play, okay, the given key was not present in the dictionary. Why was the given key not present in the dictionary? Okay, quenchery was not present in the dictionary. Where's the error? Right here. Status lookup. Oh, okay. So it's giving me the error because I did not add it to the status references here. Children of prefab instance cannot be deleted or moved. I'm not trying to do the... How annoying. So I just need to add an additional entry here, and instead of satiatory, this will be quenchery. And so now we shouldn't have any errors. Perfect. All right. So now we can give them thirst, hunger, and have them seek after it when they are hungry. They still don't interact with it though, so that's going to be the next order of business, is not just move towards a resource, but also gather that resource. So I will take care of that shortly. I'm going to take a quick break, 5 minutes or so, and when back, we will move right on to that topic. Let me see if I have a BRB text here. Short break. Why is that stretched like that? Okay, there we go. Short break. Properties. 5 mins. All right. Dock that right there and spawn a bunch of characters to wander around while we're waiting. BRB. Okay, we've got some surfing characters. I'm not sure why they are surfing. Let me go ahead and toggle that off. Perfect. So there should be a limit to how long they try to get to an area if they're caught in a traffic jam like this. Also, what's happening here? Oh, that's the initial character. That's fine. We can just nuke them. Uh, uh, oh, they're up here. Half the time, I have no idea why Unity sorts objects in certain ways. Like, I have no idea why he went to the top of the list and sometimes they go to the bottom when you create a new one. Oops, sorry for shocking you. Okie doke. So, we want them to be able to collect items. At the moment, there's a script on these that interacts with the commandable player that we have. Like, I can move around with the player right now by clicking, and he moves around. I want to be able to do the same thing to the characters. Um, okay, nothing in these interactables depends on the commandable player script. So even though the NPCs don't have the commandable thing on it, they should be fine. Um, However, they need to have some kind of inventory on them, so that they can actually hold the things that they create. And I'm also going to need to introduce another AI layer. And that AI layer is going to determine what items they use. So they can go and collect water or food from a source, and then they have it just in their inventory. And then if that particular AI layer dictates, then they will consume that item. And in consuming it, restore their status or some such. Yeah, that seems pretty okay. Okay. So let's see here. Right now we have should have like a fuzzy layer thing. Let me move my mic here so I don't bonk it constantly. Fuzzy layer. All right. So we have some non-useful ones now. We can add in uh, item using. Okay, so now I can create some scripts that instead of affecting the movement of the character, affect what item they consume or such. And I guess this could be both for using channeled items, like if you're using like a pickaxe and we're using it to mine something, it would determine that they would do that, or they could swap to consuming a potion or an edible or the like. Um, so let's create another AI thing. Although first, because we have a at least partially working item here, I'm going to publish my changes through Colab. Uh, save project, and then okay. AI resource seeking. Well, and I missed a lot of chat, it looks like. One of my school assignments. You had to implement a hash map. I think I had to do that at some point in college as well. Although I don't think I'd be able to recall how to do it right off the bat. Of course, in general, I know how they work, where you have stretched out over a section of memory, and then you use uh, the hash code function to determine at what point it gets inserted into, and then you have some collision resolving function. Although I can't remember how those exactly work. I think there's one that you put it in one spot and then check to see if the IDs are equal. If not, then you stick it on the end of like a short list or whatever. It's been a while though. Decision tree in Python from scratch. Why is school annoying? Because school. All right. So we need to add that new AI component. Let's open up Writer again and hop over to the resource seek AI. But instead, we're going to have a public class item consume AI. And this is also going to leverage these fractional amounts here. But instead of using it based on distance, it's going to use it based on the inventory of the player, I think. Sounds reasonable, at least. AI, and that's going to be fuzzy component. Is that what I'm doing? Now, what's a decision tree? Is that just if then, or? Also, how loud is my typing? I hope it's not too loud. I previously had NVIDIA Broadcaster enabled, which is like this in beta thing. It's like Crisp in Discord, where it's supposed to block out all background noise, but I felt like it was occasionally getting in the way of some of my speaking and such. So I disabled it. But I'm not sure if my keyboard strokes are now too loud. So fuzzy layer is fuzzy layer.item using. And then we don't need to do anything in initialize, at least not yet. Weight is going to be based on a particular status identifier. Machine learning classification system. Oh, I see. Like Akinator, I guess. Just 20 questions. So calculate weight is going to take in the relevant statuses. We'll have a public int max value or max value for interest. What did I call these? Begin seek for action and then max seek. Okay. Begin interest value equals 0.8f, or I'm looking for fractional amounts, so we want float. Begin interest value is 0.8f, and then max interest value is 0.2f or whatever. So in addition to determining if it wants to use an item, we also need a way of determining what item to use. How do I want to go about handling that? Oh. So I guess most of my logic needs to happen in the handle activate function because I don't want it to update over a series of frames, or do I? I think I'm trying to make this script a bit too generic. Instead of item consume AI, restorative item use AI. And then I will only need to do handle on activate. So the way that so the resources in the environment are probably going to regenerate over time. So they're not going to take the player's hunger into account. If they're hungry, they're going to eat it. And it's the player's job to go find their own thing, I guess. But as for not consuming everything in their immediate vicinity, the resource seek AI that they have here makes sure that they only start seeking out something if their amount of it is less than a certain amount. And I guess so at the moment, I've been working on the assumption that they consume it immediately upon getting that resource, but it might be better to make it so that that's actually a separate part. So they can seek out stuff. So when it is sought out and when it is consumed are going to be two different events, I think. And I'm trying to think about the best way to handle that. So we already have the two separate layers for them. So I guess the resource seek AI should also take into account how much of the item the player has on their person, because we don't want them to seek after resources immediately if they already have it in their backpack, for example. But I guess that could also incidentally be taken care of by the fact that if they start searching for it but already have it in their inventory, they'll only search for it for a fraction of a second because they'll just chug whatever item it is immediately, and then go back to the normal wandering or whatever else they're doing. I'm getting a little hungry myself. But for now, I am on a roll programming. Maybe I'll have a donut hole. I have a few over there. In fact, that sounds good. I'm going to go grab a donut hole. 1 second. Pizza sounds good. think I'm actually going to be having some ribs for dinner. Taking them out of the refrigerator. I was supposed to make it yesterday or have it made yesterday, but never got around to it. Need to take care of it today, otherwise it'll go bad. But that'll be for dinner, not something I need to worry about quite yet. Hunter together, so collecting makes more sense than consuming directly. Yeah. So I definitely need to have a system for them to access their inventory easily and connect that to the AI. So they can seek after those resources. I guess I should also take the distance to the items into account. But I think just, let me delete that. It's not in use. I guess I don't really need to take the distance into account right now. Because it's just things within like 20 meters are considered equally. And then on activate, we begin using the item. So this is where that magic will happen. Bad at keyboard shortcuts. Home, shift. Use item. And then this is going to be its own method. So we have to determine what item in their inventory to use. And so there's a couple of... God, there's a lot of stuff to think about how I want to structure this. So the items themselves are stored in item stacks, and an item stack is just a reference to the item's ID and then a quantity for that item. So there isn't a by reference item that I can get. However, there are slots, and a slot is just a container for an item stack. So I could have it look through all of the slots within their inventory and then keep track of the slot that contains an item that is relevant to the relevant status identifier that's there, and then extract and consume from that particular thing if that becomes necessary, or if that's the most relevant thing. I'm reusing words too much. It's going to make it confusing. So if it decides we should use an item by whatever float magic we have here, the question is, do I determine what item should be used here, or do I wait until after it's activated to determine what to use? Because I think the wait... I'm wondering if it should go through all of the items in the inventory and then keep track of its inclination to use all of the items in there, and then the maximum value is what is returned from the calculate weight method. And then I could cache that and access it later in the handle activate method, although this would potentially be creating some spaghetti. So I could instead do it again. That results in 2 iterations over the thing, but it only happens for 1 frame. So I guess it's not particularly... It's not a huge performance concern. The worry would be trying to use an item and then the item that gets used is not the original intent. Like if it's like, oh yeah, I'm really hungry, we should probably use something, and then it gets to the activate method, and then it's like, all right, it's time to use that important item, and then it comes across, I don't know, pants. Pants is the item that I should use, and for some reason it's hungry, so pants. So that's a concern, but I guess if it's being activated one after another, that's not likely to happen at all. My bad, dude. All right, so we're going to have another method that is going to get an item slot. And that item slot is going to be what would be used. But I need to associate that with some weight value as well. So maybe I should create a struct for that. So we'll have a, well, before this gets too messy, let's stick it in its own file. So we'll have a struct that is item or slot weight pair. And then we'll have an iSlot item stack. I need references to these. Oh, not create interface. Oh no, what have I done? Why is iSlot? Is it like item slot? Dude, I swear iSlot is the thing. It is. It's in the crafting framework thing. Is this not referenced in the assembly? Hold on, back twice. Yeah, so Polylithic is kind of a pun. So it's a pun on Paleolithic as well as Polylithic and the low poly style of the game that we're going for as well. So it's like a triple meaning. Can thank the designer on our team for that gem of a of a pun. Hold on 1 second. Need to check something. Okay. I don't think polytheism though will come into play, but we'll see. Okay, what was I doing? We were wondering why iSlot wasn't referenced. Okay, iSlot. Yeah, I'm guessing that it's just it's not being referenced in the assembly. So let's see here. We want code, and then where's the assembly definition? Here we go, Polylithic. Oh, the crafting framework is referenced. Why is it not doing the thing then? Cannot resolve symbol iSlot. Oh, it just wasn't finding it. Okay, that's fine. Okay. The slot, and then the weight for it. And I guess these need to be public to see them. Okay, so we're going to have a method that finds the highest weighted slot. So we're going to have a public slot weight pair get valued slot. And then this is going to iterate over all of the slots available on the thing. To that end, we're going to need a reference to their inventory. I think I have a base inventory thing that I can access. Here, in initialize here, var inventory equals in children inventory. What do I have? Base inventory, slotted inventory is probably what I want. Or maybe just base inventory, because I don't want to have to specify the exact type of the slot. Depends what base inventory gives me access to. Base item stack inventory is what I want. Okay. And let's make that a field. And for each, inventory.get slots. I guess I can do inventory.get slots.max by slot goes into slot.peak dot value. But I also want to have some selection clause in here as well. Dot where slot not slot dot peak dot is default. Dot where, and then I want to check if the item is categorized as what is relevant. So I'm probably going to need some structure that says, all right, anything that deals with the satiatory stat is linked to the edible category and other such. How best to handle that? Of course, later on, I'll convert this from link, because you don't want to use link due to garbage collection. But right now, I'm not worried about that. Just want to get the behavior in place. So for now, we'll just do max by the value. Var maxed equals that, and then if max dot is default, turn default. Otherwise, return new slot weight pair, and I guess we need a constructor, huh? And that's going to be maxed, and the weight we need to calculate. But for now, we'll just say var weight equals 1f. In general, link tends to allocate a lot of garbage. So you typically don't want to use link, at least the vanilla .NET link, if something is being executed every frame. It does depend on what options you do. So I don't think where allocates, for example. I might need to look into that a bit more, actually. It's been a while since I looked into it too much. It could be there's some changes. I mean, we could test it out soon here, because it's going to pop up. But maybe it doesn't. So there's various enumerators within link. Like there should be like a where iterator. Hold on, let me see if that's a thing. Where iterator. Let's just check in where real quick. Whoopsie daisies. Taking a while to download. Okay, so if we use where, why is it just throwing null? What? Okay, something weird is going on here. Everything is just throw null. What is going on? Well, whatever. We will see a little later if it's actually allocating any garbage. Okay, slot weight pair, and then we need to assign weight there. And then just to make sure that we don't forget, we'll add in a big fat to-do here. Make weight actually something relevant. Or I guess it'll just grab the weight from the maxed dot. No. We'll make it something relevant later. Max dot. Wait, why is this? I slot item stack quantity, and this is wait, do I need to reverse that? Is it quantity item stack? Hold on, what is it looking for? Need the argument followed by the value that comes in and out. So yeah, it's quantity item stack. Should be good now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Then if we use the item that's just going to withdraw it from the slot, we can say get valued slot, our slot equals that, and then if not slot is default, slot dot slot dot extract all, and then can I pass in 1 to that? Or does it expect an item stack? New item stack of slot.slot.peak.id followed by 1. Okay, what's wrong with you? Okay, I just need extract amount. There we go. And then just apply it with 1. So it's not going to actually use it yet, so we'll stick another to-do here. Actually use the item, but it will subtract it from the inventory. So in order to actually use the item, it depends on the category of item that it is. If it's like the edible thing, then we'll get the editable item or edible item value and add some function of that to the character's satiatory. So we'll take care of that later. And then we don't need any special behavior on deactivate. And why is this field can be made read-only? I guess we should make this a read-only struct. okay. Oh, I don't want to convert that to constant yet. Okay, and then for calculate weight, we get valued slot, var slot equals, and then if slot dot is default, then return 0, otherwise return slot dot weight. And let's rename this before I get confused again in the future. It's not get valued slot, get valued slot pair. And then, where was that slot dot slot thing from earlier? Whatever, we'll call this pair. Okay, so we will want to do some function of the relevant status and such. Not necessary for right now, though, just for testing. So I'm not sure if the fuzzy logic machine will ignore states that have weights of 0. But we will have a debug.log used item. Else debug.log error none. Okay. Okay, what's my current goal? Okay, so first of all, we need to get them to actually collect the item, then they can use it as this is prescribing here. Oh yeah, I guess I did say Polylithic era survival game. I should remove the era part of it. That's what was causing the confusion earlier. So we need to actually stick an inventory on the NPCs. So let's grab an NPC and create an empty child. We'll call this inventory, and then add a child slots inventory, and then add a simple slot on child that is item slot component. And it can carry 64 of anything. That seems fine to me. All right, so now they have an inventory consisting of and slot. And they need to be able to put something in it, so they need to interact with the item that they have gone to. So we need an interacting layer for the fuzzy logic. I guess the interacting part can be, instead of item use, we can have interacting. That seems reasonable, I think. So fuzzy layer, interacting. Okay, and then we need an interacting AI. So instead of resource seek AI, we have public class interacting AI, and that's going to be a fuzzy component. Lots of AI in this. I'm so glad I made an actual like coherent AI system. This is going to be fuzzy layer.interacting. Makes the unit interact with nearby interactables. And we'll add that to the dictionary. Nothing necessary in initialize for now. For this, I guess maybe I should make it leverage the seeker base thing, even though, no, the seeker base I think has movement by default. Yeah. So I want to take advantage of the tracking and target system, but, or, you know what, let's do a much simpler approach. We can just use an overlap sphere or something. So for calculate weight, physics, phys sucks. Physics dot overlap sphere non-alloc transform dot position. I'll have it check a meter in each direction, I guess. How about 2 meters? 2 meters is cooler. Wait, does this return an int? It does. Okay. Var count equals that. All right, and then we can have a constant max colliders equals we'll say 30 colliders max. I guess we can make the array static since this won't be multi-threaded, at least for now. The heck is this? Gluon GUI? Plastic SEM shenanigans. So we can have a static collider array. Colliders equals new of max colliders length. I guess I don't really need to. This is almost here already. Wow, nice. And then we can make it 100 since it's static. Don't need to worry too much about that. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Should probably give it a more descriptive name though. Or var equals 0. What am I looking for on it? I'm looking for base interactable. Var interactable equals letter array I dot get component in parent base interactable. If not interactable, continue. Otherwise, What do? Wow, these guys really don't give up, do they? Uh, so if they have the base interactable on it, then what do I want to do? I want to see if it's possible for them to interact, and if so, do, or just interact right off the bat. No. This is just calculating the weight. So we need to set weight to like 1F or whatever. Var ret equals 0F. Ret equals 1F. Break. Return ret. And then I would want to leverage that method again, except this time actually utilize the value that I get. How do I do this without copy pasting code? Unsure. Well, we'll come back to that. So on handle activate, we can begin interacting with it though. I guess we could cache the interactable value. So there needs to be some logic at some point that lets the AI ask, do I want to interact with this? Not, is there something that can be interacted with? So I guess at some point I'll need a list of candidate interactions. And then those candidate interactions, we can iterate through it and see if they correspond with stuff and things. At the moment, I think they'll go over to the like 3D printer and such and just activate it by themselves. Oh, that can be interesting. Let's just see if it happens. Do items get a value and eat an energy value, for example, in addition to only a weight, perhaps in combination with use? Eating once an axe 100x interaction or something. Do you mean like a bonus for variety or such? In that case, that is something that's on the table. So right now we're of course at like the very start where we have like no data associated with anything. We have items are edible. That's the extent of the data that we have, as well as just a single value associated with edible. I'm probably going to change the edible category to what would be a better name? So I'm wondering. Here's an example. We could have various vitamins instead of just having the edible category, or instead of having a value associated with the edible category. The edible could just be a category that has no data with it, and then anything that has the edible category could have a list of proteins or vitamins and other nutrients that are associated, and then relevant values with that, and then they could have like try to get your vitamin C up by eating, citrus fruits or whatever. So that could be something that we could do. I could just demo that real quick, in fact. So just as an example. So we have our item world. I could hop over to categories here and add a new category with float, and we'll call this a sodium category, sodium nutrient. And then I could grab the salt from right here. Where is the salt? Drag salt over there, and now we have a value that we can edit on the salt, and we'll say that salt is 300 milligrams of sodium or whatever. And now that value 300 is the associated value in the sodium nutrient category with salt. So we can add whatever we want at any point with that. Not sure if that's going to be what we end up doing, but it's something that's open to us. For now, though, okay, yeah, there's something wrong with the category system. For some reason, sodium isn't popping up in there. So I will need to fix that after the stream. Let's see here. Categories do not appear in item window with new refactor. All right. All right, so where was I? We have, well, first let's put this in its own code file. And we can get the interactable. Again, we're faced with the, can we cache this, or do we just go over it again and determine what to do? I think for now, we'll make it its own method. Public base interactable get main interactable in range. And we can, what am I doing? Our count equals do the overlap thing, and then it'll just return the first one, return interactable, otherwise return null. And then this is return or var interactable equals get main interactable in range. If interactable, return 1f, otherwise 0f. And then in activate, we can grab the intended use one again. Var use equals get main interactable in range, and then use dot begin interact with this dot game object. However, I am getting a little hungry myself, so I think I might call it here for today. I think I should be back streaming some more within the next few days. Pretty happy with how this went and made some decent progress. And on the next stream, I guess we'll focus on making it so that all the characters can go and eat their fill and such. You got pizza. I might get pizza as well. We'll see. But that will be it for the stream for today, I think. Yeah, my bad, dude. But there should be another stream soon, so I guess we can look forward to that. But that'll be it. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and until next time.